Bickley and Marana Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Kevin Durant's curious time in Phoenix is almost over, and his legacy will be complicated. There was memorable shot-making and interesting interviews. There were 2 playoff victories and 0 series wins in 2.5 seasons, and there was the unfathomable juxtaposition of he and Devin Booker starring in Paris while winning gold medals, only to finish 10 games under 500 when they came home and put on Suns uniforms. His trade will be also a litmus test for the new front office. I've heard the Suns expect a bounty in return, and I fear the market will bear far less than they think. Their skill and their inexperience will be tested, and what deal they choose will say much about their negotiating skills and our future. Finally, his trade will also have a serious muting effect, like a plane disappearing from a radar screen. The Suns will become 100% irrelevant in the basketball world outside of Phoenix the moment KD is gone. There will be no other player on the roster worthy of the hot take platforms, and we are going to feel very, very alone. But personally, I cannot wait. I want everything about the past 2 years swept in a dustpan and disposed, and I want to see if Book can carry a team and a boulder up the mountain all by himself, just like the heroes of his youth. In fact, Kobe Bryant once famously told him to be legendary, and soon that mission and that moment will finally arrive. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I'm told the Suns, Kevin Durant's business representative and boardroom CEO, Rich Kleiman, they're working on his trade as we speak. The teams that are mainly featured right now that have interest in Kevin Durant to trade for him, this is ongoing interest, and I think this is the focus right now. It's the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, the Miami Heat, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the New York Knicks. I do expect potentially some wild card teams to get in the mix as well, because listen, this is Kevin Durant. For him to be on the market, he's the biggest domino right now that's fully available on the market, and last season we saw his play.
Finish your thought there, Shams. Shams Charania from the Pat McAfee Show yesterday, kind of identifying the market, the teams that might be interested in Kevin Durant. Stephen Bondy from New York Post said, no, Knicks not in. We'll see if that changes. I think this is very fluid.
Yeah, I think so.
There was a faction of social media last night, and I'm not saying these people don't have any information at all, because they've proven in the past that they do. But there was a faction of social media that was bracing for something to happen like today. That's judging from the activity and what they were hearing.
Okay.
So the consensus is, look, Gambo said it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen before the draft. Look, it's going to happen before the draft. It's not going to happen after the draft. It's going to happen before the draft. Brian Windhorst said it's going to happen before the draft. I think Shams hit on a very important point there too. Giannis seems like he's connected to Milwaukee. He hasn't made anything official. Even after earlier in the offseason, he said, I'm going to explore options for the first time. He's open to exploring options. But
yeah,
you follow the money, like you said earlier.
Follow the money, yeah.
So Kevin Durant is the big fish, the first big fish in the pond. The possibilities are endless. I've got sound bites here in front of me, Bick, from 3 different ESPN personalities over the last 12 hours, I'd say. 12 to 18 hours.
All right.
Fill in the blank needs Kevin Durant. You want to hear these?
I'd love to hear these.
Okay.
All right.
Freddie Coleman, ESPN Radio. Fills the blank in with Minnesota.
As much as any team could use Kevin Durant out of the suitors involved, and you're right, put him with Houston Rockets, that's a dangerous team. San Antonio Spurs, they may not have enough there to be dangerous right away, but they're going to be a playoff team. The Minnesota Timberwolves just got to the Western Conference Finals, and Julius Randle, as great as he was leading into the Western Conference Finals, was a Slim Shady there. That's not a possibility, Kevin Durant. He's not going to do that. If any player out of those suitors could really use Kevin Durant, it's the guy that had his fathead poster on his wall when he was growing up as a DSGB, down south Georgia boy, as you call the guys in your area, Harry Douglas, and that is Anthony Edwards. That's the player that needs Kevin Durant right now more than anybody else in the NBA.
All right.
Okay. I don't disagree with him, but let's hear number two.
That for a
Door
second.
number 2.
Stephen A. Smith this morning on First Take, throwing some new blood into the mix.
Detroit.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Detroit.
But does Detroit need him?
Yes. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Because they couldn't close out the game. See, you don't know where they're going to go. Cunningham is still learning. But you need a guy like Kevin Durant, who, here you go,
and
win
Kevin
the game
Durant
for us.
would make Cunningham even better.
That's right.
All right, so he's not taken away. He's an additive. He's not a subtraction.
That's right.
All right, the other voice you heard there was Magic Johnson, of course, who also had his thoughts on who needs Kevin Durant.
I like him if he could come here to New York for the Knicks. Brunson needs help, and he needs help in the fourth quarter. See, he gonna get you there, but then Indiana loaded up against him, and everybody else couldn't deliver. So they need a guy like Kevin Durant who could say, okay, Brunson, you get us there, but I'm going to take us home. It reminds me of Shaq and Kobe. Hey, Shaq, you get me to the fourth. Kobe said, I got it. I'm going to take us home, right? And so you need a person like Kevin Durant.
If you're in New York, who are you getting rid of?
Molly, let me just say this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Kevin and Brunson, and then you have Robinson stay at center. Wow. Because that's all you need.
Well, it kind of does matter who you give up, Magic.
We just saw it with Book and KD. It does matter. It matters a lot.
Yeah, but if
that's the Matt Ishbia thinking. Oh, that's all we need, those two guys and anybody else.
Yeah, but that was Magic Johnson saying it. I'm not thinking about what they're giving up. I'm just adding Kevin Durant to what they already have, and look at that team is unbeatable. Well, yeah, you got to give something up in a trade too. Let me ask you this, and we're going to go over every angle of this story, so buckle up for the next 2 weeks or so, because there's going to be a ton of different angles. What do you think the possibility is that we, the victims of the Phoenix sports community, in a year or two will be saying, how in the world did the Suns trade Kevin Durant?
I don't think that's going to happen, Vinny, because as I said at the end of the blast, I want renewal, something fierce. I everything about the last 2 years, and it's not KD's fault, as he has made clear to everybody. It's just the net effect of it all. The basketball team that refused to hustle, that refused to get back on defense, that threw the ball all over the gym, that played carelessly. The chilling Suns. I want that team so far gone. That's what I can't wait for this to happen. Regardless of who the Suns get back, I am down with linking up into a new, younger version of the Suns. Will it work? Who knows? But just give me something that we can be proud. Give me something that's passionate.
Yes.
That plays hard.
But I will say this. After recent trade experiences where I was like, whoa, you got to make that trade if you're the Suns. I'm no longer in that mindset. I'm open to any possibilities. I agree. The ingredients of what they need, the player attributes of what they need in any trade for Kevin Durant are very clear. But I was all on board with the Durant deal. I was all on board with the Beal deal. And here we are.
We were all on deal with the Brandon Knight deal back in the day.
Because
we're
of the
wrong
Bradley
a lot.
Because of the Bradley Beal deal. That's why they can't keep Durant, because of the Bradley Beal deal, because you cannot reshape the roster if you still have Bradley Beal.
Very true.
And Kevin Durant.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.